Hi everyone, my name is Brandon Brown. I'm giving my speech on social media and its kind of importance in the world, specifically in today's society, as well as with students, like college students, high school students, and folks around that age. So just kind of presenting, believing that social media is unfortunately a negative, and then my next speech will be about how it is a positive. So in this speech, I'll start, and so imagine this. You pick up your phone to check one notification, just one, and you tell yourself it'll only take a few seconds, and I'm sure we've all been there. But then you scroll a little more, watch a few videos, reply to some friends, and suddenly you look up and you realize, hey, an hour has gone by. That's happened to me more often than I like to admit, maybe even a couple hours. So I'm sure we've all had that experience, but social media has just it's become a normal part of our lives, and we don't even question anymore. Something like we check between classes, while eating, before going to bed, and sometimes even when we wake up. So you roll over and hey, gotta check the phone and see who's responded, Snapchat, Instagram, whatever it may be, things like that. It just fills a lot of gaps during our day. And so while it doesn't seem super harmless in those small moments, it is something that when they add up together, it can become something much bigger. So as a college student, I've definitely experienced this myself. I've caught myself scrolling when I should have been studying, staying up later than I planned, feeling distracted when I need to focus. And that's really what led me to look deeper into how social media affects us and what we can actually do about it. Because the truth is, reducing daily social media use can significantly improve your productivity, mental health, and your real life relationships. So today I'm going to kind of walk you through the problem and show you some simple ways to fix it, as well as kind of just imagine what your life would look like if you made that small change. And I won't exclude myself from this. I definitely play a part in this as well. We'll start with the problem. So on average, people spend about 2 to 3 hours per day on social media. And that doesn't sound very extreme at first, but when you break it down, that's over 15 hours a week. So that's a little over half a day each week that you're spending kind of not being productive, and it doesn't really add much value to your life. So think about what you could do with those 15 hours. You could study more effectively, get ahead on assignments, exercise, work more, or just simply relax without feeling guilty about unfinished work. But the impact isn't just about time, it's about how social media affects your mind. So the constant exposure to carefully curated posts can make it seem like everyone else is more successful, happier and more productive than you. Even if we know that it's not real, it can still affect how you feel. So this can lead to things like increased anxiety, lower self-confidence, and difficulty focusing. So it's really hard to stay present in your own life when you're constantly comparing it to someone else's highlight reel. Social media also makes it harder to concentrate. Every notification, vibration, just a quick check, it breaks your focus. And once your focus is broken, it takes time to rebuild it. And that means even simple tasks take longer than they should have. So clearly there's a problem, but the good news is there's also a solution. It's not as difficult as you might think. So you don't have to delete all your apps or completely disconnect from the world. Really, you just want to start with small, realistic changes. So one of the easiest steps is setting daily screen time limits. And that's something that a lot of parents do for children. But most smartphones now allow you to track exactly how much time you spend on each app and even set limits. So even reducing your usage by just 30 minutes a day can make a noticeable difference over time. Another strategy is to replace social media with something more intentional. So when I say that, I'm meaning instead of automatically reaching for your phone when you're bored, try doing something that actually benefits you. Go for a walk. If you have a dog, obviously a great excuse to get outside. Working out, reading, spending time with friends, actually in person rather than over the phone. And again, you can also set boundaries when you use social media. So for example, avoid checking your phone right when you wake up or right before you go to bed. Starting your day without distractions and ending it without constant stimulation can really improve your focus and your sleep schedule. And these small changes may not seem like much, but they can have a powerful impact over time. So just imagine the results. If nothing changes, it's easy to predict what will happen because everything's constant. Nothing's has changed. Things have really stayed the same. But if you'll continue losing hours of sleep without realizing, you might feel more distracted, stressed, and behind on your responsibilities. And over time, those small habits can turn into bigger problems. So a lot of times when I think about it, I imagine it's super similar to, like smoking cigarettes. And I know that's a really drastic example. But again, it's something where you kind of wean yourself off, and then before you realize that you've completely, cut it down to a minimum. I have a lot of family members who have struggled with that. And meanwhile, I'm over here struggling with something as small as social media usage, which really puts in perspective, how there is kind of some differences there. But, if you do make a change, even a small one, it can really be a a really significant benefit that you'll gain. So, imagine having more time each day to get things done. Imagine being able to sit down and focus on an assignment without constantly checking your phone. Feeling less pressure to compare yourself to others and more confidence in your own progress. And when I say that, I really mean when you look online, like I said earlier, those highlight reels, people aren't going to show you a lot of the negatives. You're trying to, provide a good example of yourself when you're at your best. So social media oftentimes doesn't show us the worst of individuals, and so it's really hard to realize that, hey, these people are going through the same struggles that I am as well. And beyond that, imagine just being more present in your daily life, having real conversations, enjoying experiences without distractions, and feeling more control of how you spend your time in your life. So when you go to a concert, the amount of people who have their phones out recording, hey, I get it, you want to see the moment back, but sometimes it's just really nice to live in the moment, not have to worry about what battery percentage your phone is at. But the kind of change doesn't require a lifestyle overhaul. It just requires awareness and willingness to make small adjustments. So here's what I really want everyone to take away from this. Reducing social media isn't about giving something up, it's about gaining something more valuable. It's about gaining time, focus, and a better sense of control over your life. And I challenge you to really start today. Set a screen time limit, reduce your usage by even 30 minutes a day. Pay attention to how it affects your day and use that extra time to do something that actually matters to you. Because at the end of the day, your time is one of your most valuable resources. Once it's gone, you don't get it back. It's not like, rich people live longer. I mean, inherently, with health and things like that, I'm sure it's a little bit easier, but everybody's gonna, not be here at some point. And so time is really the most valuable thing we have on the planet, because at the end of the day, it's really one of the most valuable resources. So don't let it be controlled by an app to keep you scrolling. Take control of your time and, take back your life. Make sure you're living it to the fullest and you're enjoying all these moments, okay? Again, my name is Brandon. I appreciate everyone listening.